Humor can be a powerfully positive tool. It's said that a joyful heart is good medicine. It temporarily helps us forget about life's troubles and makes us more at ease. According to studies, laughter relaxes the whole body. A good, hearty laugh relieves physical tension and stress, leaving your muscles relaxed for up to 45 minutes afterward. Laughter decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and infection-fighting antibodies, which improves your resistance to disease. Humor even triggers the release of endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals, which promotes an overall sense of well-being and can even temporarily relieve pain. But humor can do something else quite negative if you're not careful. Corporate elitists know it, and you should know it too. It can cause you to drop your guard and open you up to misinformation, literally altering the way you think about life. Humor can effectively deflect attention, discredit truth, and promote fallacies. Now, we already saw this in a previous video with another sitcom, and if you missed that video, you can click here. In this particular episode of All in the Family, the main character, Archie Bunker, cast as sort of your stereotypical, harmless, ignorant, hard-working, conservative, short-tempered, misogynist, lovable bigot, argues with his liberal son-in-law Mike, who he routinely calls meathead, about the dangers of gun control. Aside from the fact that if some of this material you're about to see were aired today, triggered liberal snowflakes would be storming Hollywood, check out these clips for yourself and see if you can spot the agenda of the elites as they try to vilify weapons and make the idea of gun ownership out to be some stupid, irresponsible, and dangerous mindset that could only be conceived in the brains of ignorant, bigoted, and hateful people.
This station is always...
Why can't you give it a rest?
What's it about?
It's always about the same three things. Pollution, dope, or VD, and I'm sick and tired of all three.
I'd like to hear what he's got to say, all right?
This terrible virus that has infected the country.
What'd I tell you? VD?
There has been much talk about permissive society. Well, this is an evil that we have permitted for too long.
Don't tell me the big
This
mouth
station
is talking
believes
sense
that
for a
something
change.
Quiet, will
done
you?
now. The state must be willing to buy back every gun in private hands.
What?
He's talking about guns.
Far
What the hell
cheaper.
has guns got to
Okay,
do with
fine.
VD?
Will you listen to the man?
Only by enforcing even tougher gun laws can the tide of violence and death be halted. Guns must go before more of them go off.
Well, that's where you're going, buddy.
Guns
boy.
must be
Off.
ready.
Hey, what are you doing that for? I wanted to hear what he had to say there.
He's a fairy like all them gun control guys.
I'm for gun control.
Tell it to her. Maybe she'll get the marriage and know.
Archie, what do guns have to do with maleness?
What do guns have to do with maleness? Duke Wayne, buddy.
What?
Clint Westwood there, buddy.
What are you talking about?
Gary Cooper, Sergeant York. I could go on and on and on, but it do no good because talking to you is like casting pearls into wine. No good. Tell that the old lady hijinker down the street, no guns. She'd have been glad to have a rod when them two burglars bust in on her last week, Irene.
Archie, how do you expect an 88-year-old woman to go around carrying a gun?
I don't know. She can carry it in her elastic stocking next to a very close friend. All I know is as an American, it's my right to pack a rod.
Bull!
What do you mean, bull to the Constitution?
It doesn't say that in the Constitution. Archie, I'll prove it to you. I got a copy of it here in my history book. I will.
It's right there in your Second Amendment.
Oh, no, Archie. That's the one that says thou shalt not make any graven image.
That ain't the Constitution either. What you says the Gettysburg Address.
I'll prove to you. You don't know what you're talking
You
about.
just look it up. All I know is my God-given right as an American to have a gun in the house.
It's not, Archie. The Supreme Court ruled on that as far back as 1939.
What the Supreme Court says ain't got nothing to do with the law. They okayed busing, too, till President Nixon give me the old 1-2.
All right, here it is. Amendment 2. I'll read it to you.
I'll read nothing. I can read myself. What does it say? Here. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Read that.
Wait a second, you didn't read all of it.
I read it all.
You did not. Look. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A militia, Arch, that's what it says right there.
Listen, buddy, I don't pay no attention to no constitution in them pinko books of yours.
Did you know that 65% of the people murdered in the last 10 years were killed by handguns?
Would it make you feel any better, little girl, if they was pushed out of windows?
Wow, that's convoluted logic.
Yes, and that's the kind of straight thinking I'm trying to put across here. I hate that jerk on TV.
Oh, I get it. When you thought he was talking about VD and a permissive society, he was smart, huh? You find out he's talking about gun control, he's a jerk?
First, an impression is given to the audience that it is the ignorant, bigoted, hateful conservative that resists gun control, while the educated, informed, and enlightened liberal supports it. As far as the Constitution goes, the writers here are trying to give you the impression that the mention of a well-regulated militia cancels out the right of the people to keep and bear arms. It doesn't. Besides, individual rights don't come from the Constitution or the robed status priest of the Supreme Court.
Daddy, how can you be against gun control with all the assassinations? Look at it, the Kennedys and Martin Luther King. And what about the shooting of Governor Wallace?
I'm saying, maybe Governor Wallace wouldn't have got shot if he had a rod in his miss.
What?
Because the governor was there. He could have shot first.
Archie, what would he be doing walking around in a crowd with a gun?
What was the other bum doing in the crowd with the gun?
Ridiculous, Archie. You're talking about a human being who may be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
Yes, and if that human being had a rod, then the other human being would be in a wheelchair.
Here they make it sound like a ridiculous idea for a responsible person to be walking around in the crowd with a gun. And Mike's facepalm is the result of Archie's logical conclusion that a gun, in this particular case, would have evened the playing field, giving the potential victim the upper hand or at least a fighting chance by possibly landing the criminal in a wheelchair instead. How the heck could this even be viewed as a laughable proposition?
I will never understand your attitude about guns.
You will never understand my attitude about guns. Why not?
What does it take to get through to you, Archie? You know, England has gun control. They had less than 10 handgun murders last year. The United States had over 8,000. Those are statistics.
Less handgun murders is a smokescreen statistic. The supposed point of gun control is for the overall safety of the people. But a closer look at the statistics reveals that while supposed gun crime may go down, overall crime and violence rises dramatically. And you don't have to look any farther than Chicago, one of the most gun-regulated cities in the nation, to know that. See, gun control is less about guns and more about controlling the individuals in a geographic area. All the individuals. It achieves the opposite effect of its stated intention. It empowers the criminals who disregard laws, while it makes people who obey those laws powerless victims.
Good evening, everybody. This is Archie Bunker of 704 Hauser Street, veteran of the big war, speaking on behalf of Guns for Everybody. Now, question. What was the first thing that the communists done when they took over in Russia? Answer, gun control. And there's a lot of people in this country who want to do the same thing to us here in a kind of conspiracy, see. You take your big international bankers, they want to, masticate the people of this here nation like puppets on a wing. And then when they get that done, turn us over to the communists.
Oh, Archie, I'm glad they put you on a stool. You look taller sitting down.
Now, I want to talk about another thing that's on everybody's mind today, and that's your stick-ups and your skyjackers. Which, if that was up to me, I could end the skyjackers tomorrow.
You could?
All you got to do is arm all your passengers. And then he ain't got no more superiority there. He ain't going to dare to pull out no rod. And then your airlines, then they wouldn't have to chase the passengers on the ground no more. They just pass out the pistols at the beginning of the trip, and then pick them up again at the end. Case closed.
That's incredible,
The interesting and ironic thing about this episode is that it ends with Archie and his family being held up and robbed at gunpoint. liberally minded meathead, later says that if there was a gun control law, that couldn't have happened, while Archie makes the case that if he'd had a gun, the outcome could have been way different. Let's face it, guys, fancy pieces of paper called laws, passed down to the people from parasitic politicians, don't make us safer because these criminals don't follow laws. Laws like these only have the effect of retarding a society that stupidly respects such criminal empowering edicts. And that is how the elites use humor to program the masses to go along with a freedom-snatching agenda. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with others. If you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe and notification buttons and check back every day for new content.